Hello and welcome. I'm Michael Zelione here in Burro Canyon Shooting Park. I am a student of small arms and an enthusiast of the United States Constitution. Here to talk to you about the Smith & Wesson I-frame revolvers. Now, most of you are familiar with the J-frame revolvers, which in fact superseded the I-frame in historical development. The I-frame was the smallest frame of the hand injector, of the modern design hand injector that was introduced at the turn of the 20th century. And it was built to the size of 32 Smith & Wesson long cartridge, which wasn't very long at all. In fact, the longest round that could be chambered in it was the short 38 Smith & Wesson round. The J-frame was subsequently developed with a lengthened frame to accommodate the 38 Special and eventually the 357 Magnum, which are longer. And that makes the I-frame basically the smallest modern frame and the Smith & Wesson revolver, which is especially well suited for the 22 long rifle round. There's not nearly as much free travel of the bullet in the cylinder as there is in the J-frame. These are beautifully built revolvers, like everything Smith & Wesson made at the time. They were all built in the 30s and 40s. These are later production revolvers. This is a 22/32 target revolver, which is essentially a continuation of the backyard model, but it has recessed chambers, unlike the backyard. And that allows the use of high-velocity ammunition, which, in fact, this is probably the strongest platform for, well, it's not that 22 ammunition requires a lot of strength in the first place, but you wouldn't want to shoot high-velocity ammunition in a European target semi-automatic pistol, for instance, like a Hammerly or a Walther Olympia, because that would break the slide. And these guns, you can pretty much use any kind of CCI Stingers, mini-mags, whatever. It will digest them with aplomb. And it's just such a nice gun to shoot, with the very smooth action, the famous pre-war Smith & Wesson long action. You can see in contradistinction to the later production revolvers, the hammer spur here is at the very top, which allows cocking at a greater angle. That's what makes it a long action. So the stroke of the double action is going to be longer, and consequently, as a matter of physics, working against the same kind of springs generating the same kind of impact on the fulminate of mercury, is going to be smoother in the double action trigger pull. The sights here are marble on this one, marble front, U-notch adjustable rear sights. That's one thing that was improved after the war, was the micrometer rear sight, which allowed a click adjustment up and down and side to side. This doesn't have it. You have to, in order to move it side to side, you have to loosen a screw on one side and tighten it on the other side, so it pushes the blade. Or in order to lift it, you have to just turn the screw, this elevation screw, a predetermined number of turns, but there's nothing like a click indication like you would get on a modern micrometer sight. Looking at these revolvers, you can see this is actually the barrel doesn't have a lug. It just has a very abbreviated essential container for the front lock, for the ejector rod lock. And looking at the ejector rod, you can see very minimal wear in this particular instance. You can more or less tell how much the revolver has been used by observing the wear patterns on the ejector rod. when checking these revolvers, you want to make sure that the serial number on the cylinder, which is found right here, matches the serial number of the revolver, that all the assembly numbers match. There will be a number on the yoke, this part, which is an assembly number. And there is a number on the frame. In this instance, it's on the front grip strap. Again, an older gun with the large Smith & Wesson medallion on the right-hand side. That makes it, I think, around 1935 production. Beautiful, just beautiful revolver. This is a 6-inch barrel, of course. And here we have its counterparts in shorter barrels, the so-called kit gun. Again, made in several configurations, which you can see here. You have the undercut wide front sight on these revolvers. And you have the same marbles as on the longer barreled revolver, and the one in the middle. You can also see the differences in the construction of the grip frame. This particular revolver, this kit gun, has the same construction of the grip frame, the rear frame, strap, as the longer barrel target revolver. It's undercut to allow the installation of a square butt set of stocks. Stocks which are identical on these two revolvers, and incidentally are properly numbered on the inside. You should always check that if you're examining that gun. The number location is the same here. Frame, assembly number, cylinder, matches to the frame, right here. Assembly number on the yoke. This, on the other hand, is a round butt revolver. It has a rear grip strap that goes all the way down in a curve to fit abbreviated stocks that don't offer nearly as much purchase for the hand in holding, but are much better for concealment purposes. These are walnut stocks, just like on the target guns. This here is hard rubber grips, a less expensive alternative. Again, built to the same standard of excellence, same numbering system. And these revolvers, like on this one, the numbers, frame numbers, are on the bottom of the grip frame, or on the front grip strap. You have a strain screw, like on centerfire Smith & Wesson revolvers. The J-frame did away with the leaf mainspring that's tensioned by this screw, and went to the coil mainspring, so you won't find this on the J-frame. This is just a very traditionally constructed revolver, Smith & Wesson revolver, which is no longer made. And it's a real delight to shoot. It's a miniature counterpart to the Register Magnum. And now we're going to shoot this revolver and see what it can do.